What if the moment he cuts you, his words a jagged spear through your chest, his coldness a storm that rips your roots, his betrayal a weight that crushes your worth, isn't your fall but your forge? You're bleeding, trembling, a heart torn raw, his strike leaving you to drown in doubt. Did I deserve this? Am I nothing? You're not just wounded, you're at war, teetering on the edge of despair, yet poised for a triumph he'll never foresee. What if, instead of crumbling, you wield Stoicism as your shield, turning his dagger into the flame that tempers your soul, and watch him falter as you rise? This isn't surrender, it's a rebellion of the spirit. When he hurts you, he expects your cries, your pleas, your collapse to fuel his reign. But what if you sever that chain with a silence so fierce it shakes his throne? Stoicism doesn't just mend, it masters. A timeless forge of grit and grace that's carved warriors from ashes. His blow isn't your breaking. It's your becoming, a battlefield where you claim your crown, leaving him lost in the echo of his own chaos. Rooted in psychology's sharp edge and stoic steel, we'll unveil 11 unyielding moves, each a strike back, not with rage, but with a power he can't grasp. Stay till the end. 11 stoic ways to turn his wound into your wings, to stand unbowed as he stumbles in the void you've left. If his hurt has scarred you, hit like to claim your fire. Share this with a soul aching to rise. Sub to Victory Stoic to forge your unbreakable core, and roar, "I am a warrior" in the comments. Then carve it. What's one wound he dealt you'll turn to strength? His pain's not your prison, it's your proving ground. Let's begin. Number 1. Embrace the pain as your first triumph. When his arrow strikes, his words a venom that sears, his silence a gale that rips your sails, do you crumble beneath the weight, or do you stand bloodied but unbowed and claim the wound as yours? This isn't defeat, it's your dawn, a jagged rift where anguish roars, yet within its howl lies the seed of your healing, the ember of a warrior's rise. You don't deny the sting, you wield it, a stoic forge where pain isn't your chains but the chisel that carves your rebirth, the first step to mend what he's torn asunder. Take Maya, 34, a scribe of her own tale. She'd reel when he struck. How could he? She'd gasp, his cold dismissal a blade through her chest, tears her shield, but the flood drowned her, not him. Her night's a battlefield of why, her spirit shackled by denial. She didn't fall to his words, her flight felled her. Or see Vic, 41, a craftsman, his partner's scorn a hammer to his pride. I'll tough it out, he'd grit, shoving the hurt deep, but it festered, his hands trembled, his forge dim with unspoken rot, unhealed by his dodge. He didn't break from the blow, his berry broke him. Here's the solemn blaze. Accepting pain isn't bowing, it's beginning. A stoic stand psychology crowns. To face the cut is to claim the cure, not his mercy, but your might. It's a banner in storm, not torn, but raised, blood-streaked yet bold. Maya's not lost to tears, her dodge lost her. Vic's not crushed by scorn, his dut crushed him. You're not whole till you hold the hurt, and this first grasp turns wounds to war cries. Epictetus thundered, what need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears. Don't flee the strike, face it, and healing ignites. This is the epic dawn. Rejection fuels his reign, acceptance steals it back, a titan's stride when you don't flinch from the fray. Maya's sobs didn't save, her shield did. Vic's grit didn't mend, his gloom did. You're not healed till you hail the scar, and this step shifts the tide. It's not meekness, it's mastery, the wound your first trophy. Seize it. Maya traded "why me" for "I'll mend." Wiped her tears, penned her peace, felt her pulse rise. Vic swapped hide it for hold it, faced his ache, shaped his steel, forged his flame. When his hurt lands, stand. Ask, what's my wound's gift? Roar soft, I'll heal, and see the pain as a forge, not a fall. No retreat, just one fierce embrace, and you're mending. Maya's ink flows now, Vic's hammer sings true. Pain's not your pyre, it's your proving, your first victorious dawn. Number 2. Cut the emotional strings like a blade. Your calm is his defeat. Pain in love is rarely about the words spoken. It's about the control those words hold over you. When someone hurts you, they expect a reaction. They expect tears, pleading, anger. They expect to see the wound they've inflicted because it confirms their power. But what happens when you give them nothing? Imagine Emily, standing in the aftermath of betrayal. The man she loved just shattered her trust with a single cold sentence. I don't feel the same way about you anymore. Her heart pounds, her mind races, and for a split second, she feels the urge to fight for an explanation, to demand an apology, to react. But then she remembers. Her reaction is his victory. Instead of breaking down, she exhales, nods once, and simply says, "Understood." Then she turns and walks away. He expected tears. He expected questions. He expected her to give him power through emotion. But instead, all he gets is silence. And in that silence, something shifts. She is no longer the one begging. He is the one left wondering. The psychology of emotional detachment. People who hurt you do not control you. Your reaction does. When you respond with emotional outbursts, you feed their sense of importance. But when you remain calm, when you cut the emotional strings that tie you to them, you reclaim your power. Psychologists call this the gray rock method, a technique where you make yourself emotionally uninteresting to toxic people. It's not passive, it's a strategic withdrawal of energy. When you no longer feed their need for a reaction, they lose control. They expect fire, but all they get is stone-cold indifference. The Stoic response. Control the fire within, ignore the storm outside. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The Stoics believed that external chaos means nothing if your inner world is untouchable. Your dignity, your peace, your self-worth, these are things no one can take unless you hand them over. The next time someone tries to hurt you, do not fight, do not explain, do not beg. Simply cut the strings, step back, and watch what happens. Because the one who walks away in silence is always the one who wins. Number 3. Control the fire within. Let the world burn itself out. Pain is a fire. For some, it's destructive. It consumes them, makes them lash out, scream, break things, beg for closure, demand explanations. But for others, it's a forge, a place where they are refined, hardened, and made untouchable. The difference? Control. Samantha had always been someone who wore her heart on her sleeve. When the man she loved betrayed her trust, she felt the fire of rage rise inside her. Her hands shook, her mind screamed for justice. She wanted him to feel what she was feeling. But then, something clicked. If she lashed out, who won? If she broke down, who held the power? If she let this fire consume her, who really suffered? She took a deep breath. She did not text, did not call, did not react. Instead, she sat with the fire inside her, watching it burn, but not letting it control her. Over time, it didn't destroy her, it transformed her. What was once pain became power. What was once anger became clarity. She didn't need revenge. She didn't need closure. She became the fire, instead of being burned by it. The psychology of self-control, psychologists call this emotional regulation, the ability to acknowledge emotions without being ruled by them. Studies show that those who master this skill experience lower stress, greater resilience, and stronger decision-making abilities. The people who win in life are not the ones who never feel pain. They are the ones who refuse to let pain dictate their actions. Stoicism teaches that control is everything. Epictetus said, "If you are disturbed by something external, it is not the thing itself that disturbs you, but your judgment of it." You cannot control what he did, what he said, or how he treated you. But you can control your reaction. You can control whether you let this fire consume you, or if you forge yourself into something stronger. So the next time pain comes, feel it, but do not let it own you. Watch the flames, but do not fan them. Let them burn out while you remain untouched. Because the moment you stop trying to control everything outside of you, you master everything within. Number 4. Let go of expectations, like a quiet release. When he wounds you, his betrayal, a whisper you didn't see coming, do you cling to the hope he'll turn back, apologize, mend what's broken, as if his next move could stitch your heart whole? You wait, you wish, chaining yourself to what he might say, a heavy knot of he should that pulls you down. Not freed, just fettered, aching for a fix he'll never hand over. Letting go of expectations isn't defeat. It's your stoic exhale. A soft untying of the ropes you've wrapped around his promises, a gentle step to reclaim your peace when he's strayed. Take Priya, 33, a teacher. She'd tremble when she found out. He'll come clean, she'd hope, his late nights and secret calls a gut punch of infidelity, but her pleas for why met silence. Her days a tangle of waiting for his regret, her light dimmed by a chain she forged herself. She didn't sink from his affair, her anchor sank her. Or see Tom, 40, a carpenter. His wife's texts to another carved a hollow in his chest. She'll explain, he'd tell himself, clutching for her guilt to lift his own. But her shrugs piled on, his workbench grew cold, his hope a shackle he wouldn't shed. He didn't crack from her cheating, his clasp cracked him. Here's the tender truth. Expectations aren't your shield, they're your strings, a Stoic lesson soft as dawn. To release them is to rise, not to beg. It's like a bird with clipped wings, not caged but carried, healing when the bars fall free. Priya's not lost to his lies, her longing lost her. Tom's not crushed by her choice, his clutch crushed him. You're not bound till you bind yourself to his ought, and letting go lifts the load. Marcus Aurelius murmured, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." His amends don't mend you, you do, and this quiet cut starts the climb. This is the gentle lift. Waiting tethers you, releasing sets you loose, a breeze that stirs when you don't grip his ghost. Priya's tears didn't heal, her ties did. Tom's pleas didn't mend, his pull did. You're not whole till you drop what he won't give, and freedom hums in the hush. It's not cold, it's calm, a victory soft as breath. Try this. Priya traded he'll confess for I'll breathe, set her books down, walked her path, felt her air return. Tom swapped she'll care for I'll carve, sanded his wood, let her texts fade, found his grain again. When his hurt hooks pause, ask, what's his to hold? Whisper light, I'll let it drift, and see the should as mist, not your more. No wrench, needed just one soft release, and you're steady. Priya's lessons glow now, Tom's hands shape true. Expectations don't own you, your quiet release wins. Number 5. Pain is the fire that forges you, and dignity is your armor. Pain has two paths. You can let it consume you, turning you into something weak, reactive, and bitter. Or you can let it forge you, turning you into someone untouchable, unshakable, and unbreakable. The difference between those who crumble and those who rise is not the amount of pain they endure. It's what they do with it. Do they let it destroy them, or do they let it shape them? Emma never expected betrayal. When the man she trusted the most walked away without remorse, she felt her world shatter. The pain was raw, suffocating, like standing inside a burning house with no escape. Every instinct told her to lash out, to seek revenge, to prove her worth, to beg for answers. But then she remembered something. Fire does not only destroy, it purifies. Steel is only strong after it has been through the flames. Instead of fighting the pain, she let it shape her. She refused to lower herself, refused to beg, refused to let the betrayal turn her into someone she was not. She let the fire harden her resolve, but she never let it burn away her dignity. Pain is the forge, but dignity is the shield. Dignity is the armor of the unbreakable. It is what separates those who walk away with their heads held high from those who lose themselves in the chaos. Psychologists call this resilient identity, the ability to maintain your core self, no matter what happens. Studies show that people who hold on to their sense of self-worth, even in the face of deep emotional pain, recover faster and emerge stronger. Those who abandon their dignity, by seeking revenge, by begging for validation, by letting emotions control them, only prolong their suffering. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Pain will come. Betrayal will happen. People will disappoint you. But none of that can take your dignity unless you surrender it. You can walk away wounded, but you do not have to walk away defeated. Your pain refines you, but your dignity protects you. So the next time someone wounds you, ask yourself, will I let this fire burn me to ash, or will I let it make me indestructible? Hold your ground, keep your head high, wear your dignity like armor, and let the flames forge you into something greater than before. Number 6, walk away, like a victorious titan. When his betrayal cuts deep, his ego a mirror that blinds, his infidelity a lash across your loyalty, do you linger, hoping your steadfast heart might earn his worth, as if your pain could crown him king? You stay, you ache, tethered to a shadow that dims your flame, a faithful soul bleeding for a narcissist who preens or a cheater who strays, not rising, just reeling, bound to a man unworthy of your steadfast dawn. Walking away isn't loss, it's your stoic ascent, a quiet march from his mire, a titan's stride when he proves he doesn't deserve the throne you've offered. Take Aisha, 35, a painter. She'd pour her soul for him. He'll see me. She'd whisper, her brush steady despite his narcissist glare. His "I'm enough" drowned her us, his charm a mask she adored, her nights lost to his praise while he craved others' eyes. She didn't fade from love, his vanity faded her. Or see Raj, 42, a baker, his hands needed trust he gave her. She'll stay true, he'd hope, baking through her late lies, her affair a crumb he couldn't sweep, his loyalty a feast she scorned, his hearth cold from her wander. He didn't crack from faith, her fling cracked him. Here's the soft radiance. Leaving isn't retreat, it's reclaiming, a stoic glow that sees he's not your chain when he's not your equal. It's a temple unbowed, not raised but risen, free when the unworthy fall short. Aisha's not less for his ego, his mirror lessens her. Raj is not small for her strays, her steps shrink him. You're not tied till you tie yourself to his dross and walking lifts your wings. Epictetus said, there is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond the power of our will. His worth isn't yours to mend. Stride past it and claim your reign. This is the tender lift. Staying begs his grace. Leaving builds your own, a hush that hums when you don't kneel to his chaos. Aisha's art didn't dim, her weight did. Raj's bread didn't sour, his wish did. You're not whole till you shed what's hollow, and departure crowns the true. It's not scorn, it's serenity, a victor's quiet step. Step free, Aisha traded heel change for all paint. Left his gaze, brushed her hues, found her light. Raj swapped she'll return for I'll rise, rolled his dough, locked his door, baked his peace. When his flaws bind, pause. Ask, does he earn me? Whisper calm, I'll walk, and see his reign as dust, not your duty. No clash needed, just one soft turn and you're crowned. Aisha's canvas sings now, Raj's oven glows warm. He's not your god, you are, and your stride proves it. Number 7, walk away like a conquering deity. When his treachery pierces you, his narcissism a gilded throne he crowns himself upon, his infidelity a spear through your loyal heart, do you hurl curses at his feet, begging the heavens to smite him for the ruin he's wrought? You could rage, you could damn, spitting venom at his shadow, but each bitter word binds you tighter to his wreckage, not exalted, but enslaved, your tears a tribute to his unworthy reign. Cast aside blame and seek glory instead. It's your stoic march, a thunderous stride that turns blood and tears into a blazing triumph, leaving him a mere mortal beneath the god you've become when he proves unfit for your sacred fidelity. Behold Aisha, 35, a painter of dreams. She stood shattered before his mirror. How dare he, she'd seethe, his narcissistic preening a blade, his eyes wandering past her devotion. Yet her cries fed his crown, her canvas stained with pleas for his gaze, her soul a battlefield lost to his pride. She didn't bleed from his ego, her blame bled her. Or witness Raj, 42, a baker of trust, his hands crumbled when her affair surfaced. She'll pay, he'd vow, kneading fury into dough for her betrayal, yet his wrath fueled her flight, his oven cold as he cursed her lover, his glory dimmed by the chains of his scorn. He didn't fall to her straying, his spite felled him. Here's the majestic flame. To curse him is to crown him. To seek glory is to conquer, a stoic creed that roars, don't damn his dust, raise your banner from the ashes. It's a battlefield won, not with screams but with splendor, blood and tears forged into metals of might. Aisha's not broken by his vanity, her venom breaks her. Raj is not undone by her deceit, his venom undoes him. You're not vanquished till you vilify his vice, and walking free crafts your epic. Marcus Aurelius proclaimed, what need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears. Don't waste breath on his ruin. Forge your legend and stride as a deity unchained. This is the heroic dawn. Blame fuels his pyre. Glory fuels your ascent. A clarion call when you spurn his shadow for your shine. Aisha's pleas didn't paint, her rage did. Raj's wrath didn't rise, his wail did. You're not crowned till you cast off his yoke, and departure births your saga. It's not vengeance, it's valor, a triumph carved in silence. Forge it. Aisha flung he's vile for I'll soar, swept her brush, painted her dawn, claimed her throne. Raj hurled she's false for I'll bake, kneaded his peace, fired his hearth, won his war. When his wound stabs, halt. Ask, what's my glory here? Thunder low, I'll rise and see his fault as ash, not your anvil. No clash needed, just one bold step and you reign. Aisha's hues blaze now, Raj's bread crown's full. He's not your curse, you're your conquest, glorious and grand. Number 8. Love yourself. Be the lighthouse, not the drifting ship. When someone hurts you, the natural reaction is to seek external validation, to hope they realize their mistake, to wait for their apology, to crave their return so you can feel whole again. But this is an illusion. You are not a broken piece waiting to be put back together. You are not a ship lost at sea, waiting for someone to guide you home. You are the lighthouse. And the moment you realize this, you will never chase anyone again. Sophia had spent years dimming her own light for the wrong people. She thought that if she gave more, loved harder, and tolerated enough, she would be appreciated. But time and time again, she was met with indifference, manipulation, and betrayal. Each time, she tried to fix things, as if she was the one who needed fixing. But one day, standing alone in front of a mirror, she asked herself, "Why do I keep waiting for someone else to see my worth when I haven't even claimed it myself?" That day, she stopped waiting. She became her own source of love, validation, and strength. And the moment she stopped chasing, the world started noticing her in a way it never had before. The psychology of self-love. Self-love is not about arrogance or self-delusion. It is about self-respect. Studies in positive psychology show that people with high self-worth make better decisions, set stronger boundaries, and naturally attract healthier relationships. The reason is simple. You teach others how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you tolerate neglect, you invite it. If you accept half love, you settle for it. But if you treat yourself like someone who deserves the best, you stop allowing anything less. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus said, "How long will you wait before you demand the best for yourself?" Waiting for someone else to love you the way you deserve is a losing game. The only way to break free from pain is to become your own source of light. Be the lighthouse, not the drifting ship. Lighthouses don't chase ships. They don't beg for attention. They stand tall, shining, unwavering. The right people, those who see your value, will be drawn to your light. And those who don't, they were never meant to stay. So instead of waiting for someone to return to yourself. Instead of begging for love, become love. Instead of trying to prove your worth, live in a way that makes it undeniable. The moment you do, you will never feel lost again, because you were the light all along. Number 9. Sever contact. A silent tsunami's blade. When his betrayal crashes through you, his narcissism a gilded cage, his infidelity a storm that rends your trust, do you cling to the wreckage, firing pleas or curses into the void he's left, as if your voice could tether his wandering soul? You reach, you roar, feeding his reign with every desperate call, a tempest of your own making that drowns your valor. Not victorious, but vanquished. Your presence a lifeline he twists to his will. Cut the cord, it's your stoic tsunami, a silent surge that sweeps away his grip. Your absence a dagger so swift he'll reel in the chaos of his own unmoored throne. Witness Maya, 31, a weaver of dreams, her threads snapped when his ego flared. "He'll miss me," she'd text, his narcissistic smirk a lash, his nights spent preening elsewhere. Yet her messages fueled his crown, her loom idle as she begged for his gaze, her spirit a ruin in his mirrored maze. She didn't fade from his pride, her pleas faded her. Or behold Raj, 45, a forger of steel. His fire dimmed when her affair blazed. "She'll feel my loss," he'd call, her cheating a hammer to his loyalty. But his voice stoked her flight, his anvil cold as he chased her shadow, his might buried in her deceitful wake. He didn't break from her strays, his strain broke him. Here's the thunderous hush. Contact chains you, silence sunders his rule, a stoic strike psychology hails. Your absence isn't retreat, it's a tide that topples his tower. It's a wave unvoiced, not a whimper, but a wall, crashing through his certainty with ruthless grace. Maya's not lost to his ego, her echo lost her. Raj is not crushed by her lies, his cry crushed him. You're not felled till you feed his field, and cutting loose carves your conquest. Epictetus roared, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." His chaos can't claim you. Vanish and watch him quake in the void. This is the heroic rift. Calls crown his chaos. Quiet cleaves it apart, a seismic shift when you don't stoke his storm. Maya's words didn't weave. Her want did. Raj's pleas didn't forge. His pull did. You're not free till you flood his reign with silence. An absence births your epic. It's not flight, it's force. A triumph carved in stillness. Unleash it. Maya flung, "He'll see for I'll fade." Muted her phone, wove her art, drowned his pride in her hush. Raj hurled "she'll know for I'll still," sheathed his line, forged his steel, buried her sway in his calm. When his hurt beckons, halt. Ask, what's my silence's sting? Thunder low, I'll vanish, and see his hold as mist, not your more. No shout needed, just one bold cut, and he's lost. Maya's threads soar now, Raj's forge blazes full. Your absence isn't surrender, it's your silent storm, felling him in awe. Number 10, find your own light. You are the sun, not a planet orbiting his darkness. Heartbreak has a way of distorting reality. When someone hurts you, your world can start to feel small, as if everything revolves around him, his actions, his words, his absence. It's easy to forget who you were before the pain, as if your existence is now tethered to his. But here's the truth. You are not a planet revolving around his gravity. You are the sun. And the moment you realize this, you step back into your own power. Mia had spent months grieving a man who barely looked back. She analyzed every word, replayed every moment, and kept asking the same question: what did I do wrong? Her thoughts orbited around him, making him the center of her universe. But one day, she had a realization. Why was she giving so much energy to someone who had already moved on? Why was she dimming her own light, circling a darkness that didn't deserve her? From that moment, she stopped orbiting and started shining. Instead of focusing on him, she focused on herself. Instead of wondering if he was thinking about her, she built a life so full that it no longer mattered. And as soon as she did, something incredible happened. She no longer needed his validation. She became her own source of light. The psychology of breaking free from emotional orbit. Psychologists call this rumination, the tendency to replay painful experiences in your mind, trapping yourself in an endless loop of what-ifs and regrets. Studies show that those who ruminate stay stuck in emotional distress far longer than those who shift their focus outward, toward personal growth, new goals, and self-discovery. The more you fixate on him, the more power you give him. The moment you turn your attention back to yourself, you break free. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Time spent obsessing over someone who hurt you is time stolen from your own life. Every moment you give to pain is a moment you could be using to rebuild, to grow, to shine. You are the sun. Stop orbiting, start shining." The sun does not chase. The sun does not wait for anyone to recognize its light. It rises, it burns, it illuminates the sky, regardless of who chooses to see it. That is your power. Stop chasing someone who chose to leave. Stop waiting for someone to realize your worth. Redirect your energy into yourself. Instead of asking, "Why did he do this to me?" ask, "What can I do for myself now?" Instead of waiting in the shadows, step back into your own light. Because once you realize you are the sun, you will never shrink yourself to fit into someone else's sky again. Number 11. Forgive like a sovereign. Wield your blade. When his betrayal rends your spirit, his narcissism a gilded lash, his infidelity a scourge upon your trust, do you cradle the wound, nursing bitterness as if vengeance could mend the breach, or chain yourself to his fault, awaiting his plea? You seethe, you stew, forging fetters from his sins. A captive king in your own realm. Not reigning, but ravaged, your throne tarnished by a grudge that grants him dominion still. Forgive like a ruler, it's your stoic decree, a majestic pardon that unshackles your soul, granting yourself liberty's grace, yet clutching your sword to never bleed again beneath his unworthy hand. Behold Priya, 36, a scribe of light. Her quill quaked when his ego struck. He'll pay, she'd vow, his narcissistic scorn of venom, his mirror reflecting only himself. Yet her ink bled hate, her days a dungeon of his making, her crown dulled by the chains of his pride. She didn't bow to his gaze, her grudge bowed her. Or witness Vic, 43, a smith of steel, his hammer faltered when her affair flared. She'll rue, he'd swear, her cheating a forge of fury, yet his fire fueled her flight, his anvil a shrine to her deceit, his might entombed by the weight of her wrong. He didn't crack from her strays, his curse cracked him. Here's the regal blaze. Forgiveness isn't frailty, it's your fiat, a stoic edict that thunders. To pardon is to break his yoke, not bend to it, freedom bestowed by your hand alone. It's a scepter raised, not lowered, but lethal, mercy that guards your gates anew. Priya's not lost to his ego, her spite lost her. Vic's not crushed by her lies, his scorn crushed him. You're not free till you free yourself from his debt, and this sovereign act crowns your reign. Marcus Aurelius proclaimed, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." His sin doesn't rule you, release it and wield your blade unbowed. This is the heroic tide. Resentment crowns his chaos. Forgiveness crowns your calm, a clarion call when you don't kneel to his crime. Priya's hate didn't heal, her hold did. Vic's rage didn't rise, his rift did. You're not whole till you wield mercy's might, and absolution births your epic. It's not weakness, it's wisdom, a throne forged in grace. Claim it. Priya cast he's vile for I'm free, set her quill, penned her peace, held her sword aloft. Vic flung she's false for I'm steel, struck his forge, let her shadow fade, sharpened his edge anew. When his wound festers, halt. Ask, what's my freedom's price? Thunder low, I'll grant it, and see his fault as ash, not your altar. No wrath needed, just one bold pardon, and you rule. Priya's light blazes now, Vic's steel stands firm. Forgiveness isn't his gift, it's your glory, sovereign and sure. Conclusion. Rise like the sun, untouched by the storm. Heartbreak, betrayal, and disappointment, these things are inevitable, but they do not define you. The pain he caused, the silence he left, the words he never said, none of it has power over you unless you give it permission. You are not weak for feeling. You are not foolish for loving. But you are unstoppable when you decide to rise. Because pain is not your ending, it is your beginning. It is the forge where your strength is tested, the battlefield where your resilience is born. You do not break, you transform. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." You are free the moment you stop seeking closure, stop waiting for an apology, stop orbiting someone who has already left your universe. You are free when you realize that his actions do not dictate your worth, your response does. Your next step, choose power over pain. Do not chase, do not beg, do not explain. Instead, stand tall, silent, and unshaken. Let him wonder, let him feel your absence. Let him realize that he never had power over you, he only had the illusion of it. But most importantly, let yourself move forward. Not to prove anything to him, but to become the strongest, freest, most radiant version of yourself. Because you were never meant to stay in the shadows. You were always meant to shine. If this message resonated with you, hit like to claim your power back. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you're ready to stop looking back and start moving forward, subscribe to Victory Stoic for more wisdom on resilience, strength, and self-mastery. Finally, comment below with "I choose myself" and share one thing you will do today to reclaim your strength. Because today is the day you stop waiting, stop hurting, and start rising.